Lisa Reitzes, a member of the worship team. I'm standing in for Scott Farrell, who's getting a well-deserved vacation. So I'll be your music lead today, accompanied by our wonderful soloist, Christine Darnell. We'll begin this morning with our call to community, Sanctuary. We'll sing it through twice.
Good morning. It is not by chance that you arrived here today. You have been looking for something larger than yourself. Inside of you there is a yearning, a calling, a hope for more, a desire for a place of belonging and caring. Through your struggles, someone nurtured you into being, instilling a belief in a shared purpose, a common yet precious resource that belongs to all of us when we share. And so you began seeking a beloved community, a people that does not put fences around love, a community that holds its arms open to the possibilities of love, a heart home to nourish your soul and share your gifts. Welcome home. Welcome to worship. Today at Westside Unitarian Universalist Congregation, we are gathered as we do on the unceded ancestral lands of the Duwamish people, people who are still here, carrying forward cultural practices and wisdom that have stewarded this land and the surrounding waters for generation. Let us take a moment to feel ourselves firmly grounded on this land. We remember the histories, the stories here. In this acknowledgement, let us have the courage to consider our role in the repair of a legacy of violence and erasure. And welcome everyone. Whoever you are, wherever you have come from, whatever the color of your skin, whoever and however you love, however your body moves and your brain works, you are welcome here in this community. Our Unitarian Universalist tradition has no test of faith, no creed or oath to swear. We have instead the promises we make to one another, commitments we make to healing a hurting world within and beyond these walls. Welcome, everyone.
And now let us take a moment to light our chalice. Our chalice lighter today is Jack Conley. Jack, come forward, please. This chalice is the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist heritage. May its heat energize us for the work that is ours to do. May its light make our vision clear and bright. May its warmth comfort us always. This morning, as we light this flame, we mark this time as sacred time. We mark this space as sacred space. Let us share in all of this together. Yes. Please join me in speaking the words of our congregation's affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship. Thus do we covenant with one another. Thank you, Jack. Welcome to the Westside Unitarian Universalist Congregation. I am Jill Fleming, a member of the worship team, and it is a great joy to be gathering with you for this service as we consider generosity and trust and explore ways to flex our generosity muscle in big and small ways as a courageous commitment to interdependence. If you are with us for the first time or a first time in a while, welcome. We are so glad that you are here to share in this time, to make some space in your busy life, to attend to your heart and your spirit, to come together in community. Please visit our website, which you can do by scanning the QR code on these lovely cards in the pews, where you can fill out a welcome form so we can get to know you a bit better and to send you our weekly electronic newsletter, the Westside Week. It is good to see familiar faces and the new faces today. Let's take a moment now to check in with each other. Oh, such good energy this morning. As always, it's just grand to see such enthusiastic greetings. We hope you'll continue these conversations downstairs after the service in our coffee hour. Each week, congregants who agree to light our chalice are given a chance to respond to a question. This is our chance to get to know them better and to invite more voices into our chancel. Jack Conley has been asked to offer a piece of poetry that feels personally meaningful.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. I'm honored to be standing here with you today. It's always a pleasure to be here at Westside and to see your smiling faces. If you haven't met me yet, my name is Jack, he, him pronouns. I was born and raised in the Seattle area, and I joined Westside about 3 or 4 years ago. So today I was asked to share a poem that was meaningful to me and reflect on it, and the poem that I have chosen is Nothing Gold Can Stay by Robert Frost. Whether or not you're familiar with it, you're about to hear it now. Nature's first grain is gold, her hardest hue to hold, her early leaf's a flower, but only so an hour. Then leaf subsides to leaf, so Eden sank to grief, so dawn goes down to day, nothing gold can stay. Reflecting on this poem a bit, I first heard it when I was about 12 years old in the context of the book The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton, which I had to read for my 7th grade English class. I'm well past 7th grade now, but I've read the book a few more times in the years since, and a lot of Robert Frost's other poetry as well. Frost's poetry inspired me to explore the works of other poets, Poe, Allegria, Whitman, Dickinson, many more, and ultimately helped inspire me to become a writer myself. I am now a playwright as well. But this poem, despite all the poetry I've read in the years since I was 12, has stuck with me as a particular love for a lot of reasons. I am a longtime pagan and nature lover, so I'm drawn to the naturally inspired beauty of the words themselves, the greens, golds, and florals that are evoked in such depth even in this relatively short poem, which is only 8 lines long. I also enjoy the way that Frost evokes the changing of the seasons and the cycle of dawn and dusk, but it's much more to me than just nature imagery. As so many people seem to be in the world right now, I am in a period of my life that has involved a lot of change in the last few years. I've moved across the country, made a career change, forged new relationships and let go of old ones, learned new things and let go of some old beliefs that no longer suit me anymore. I'm also coming up on a milestone birthday where I will leave 1 decade of my life and start another, and I'm 1 week away from moving in with a long-term partner of mine. It's a very transient time, exciting but sometimes unstable, and sometimes it can feel hard to find footing. Frost's words have often brought me comfort, and they bring me comfort now in this less steady period of my life. But again, why? Why these words in particular? Well, when I consider this poem's title and final words, "Nothing gold can stay," I'm reminded that nothing is permanent and everything will fade. Although there might be something borderline nihilistic, even depressing about that at first glance, it is also freeing, in its own way, beautiful. Everything good will pass, yes, but so will everything bad. Surely as the leaves and flowers will fade in the fall and return in the spring, as surely as dawn will fade to dusk, only for the sun to rise again the next morning. If nothing gold can stay, I am reminded to appreciate the good of where I am and what I have while it is here, something that can be easy to forget when one is deep in the stress of life's struggles. I'm very happy for all the gifts the universe has offered me. I'm grateful to be here today at this moment with all of you. Even if things are changing quickly for me right now, and it can be a lot, I know that I have a good life and I'm a very lucky man. It's still nice to take perspective sometimes, to remind myself that nothing gold can stay, and approach life with all it has to offer, no matter how bright the dawn or how dark the dusk. Thank you.
Hello. For our opening hymn this morning, which is We Are, which is number 1051 in your teal hymnal, and there'll be lots of words up there, I wanted to just offer a little bit of introduction. This hymn is by Isaiah Barnwell, a wonderful musician and activist who performed it for many years with the Black women's a cappella ensemble Sweet Honey in the Rock. Some of you may know them. The founder of that legendary group was Dr. Bernice Johnson Reagan, who passed away recently at the age of 81. The daughter of a Baptist minister in rural Georgia, she began her career as a singing activist for liberation, as a student during the Civil Rights Movement, and as a co-founder of the Freedom Singers in 1963. In 1967, she returned to college, received a Ford Foundation fellowship, and founded Sweet Honey in the Rock. And over the years, it's still going on with descendants of hers and other musicians. I count myself among the millions who have been moved by their music and their commitment. Johnson Reagan became a leading scholar of Black musical life in the US, the Caribbean, and Africa. She was appointed to a position at the Smithsonian, and in 1994 created the 26-part NPR documentary Wade in the Water on the history of African American sacred music and liberation. About our hymn today, Isaiah Barnwell wrote, "Each and every one of us stands atop a lineage that has had at its core mothers and fathers and teachers and dreamers and shamans and healers and builders and warriors and thinkers and. So in spite of our uniqueness, we come from and share every experience that humankind has ever had. In this way, we are one." We are. If you would rise as you're willing and able, feel the rock of this music in your heart. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are and the sons of great visions with sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life and the builder of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreaming. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of great vision. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreaming. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. Each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are.
Thanks, Lisa, for bringing that to us. Thanks to our accompanists and Christina. It is now our time for all ages. Jill Fleming will be sharing today's story, and I invite anyone who wishes to see or hear Jill better to come and sit on the floor in front of our chancel or in these first couple of pews. It's a great view. I do recommend it. After our story, our children and youth will be invited to our religious exploration programming. It is a radically inclusive, multi-age, connect and explore program where we foster relationships, belonging, learning, and fun. And I've been told that today is Melon Day, so if you want to find out what that means, go on down. Take it away, Jill.
Our story this morning is The More You Give by Marcy Campbell and Francesca Sana. Once there was a wide open field and a boy who loved his grandmother who loved him back, and they were happy. The grandmother gave the boy many gifts like big hugs and bigger laughter and the very biggest Sunday morning pancakes. But she had more to give, small gifts like acorns, tiny and shiny with wild woolly caps. Most of the gifts she gave to the boy were ones that he could not hold in his hands, like all of her wisdom about how things grow. The boy watched and wondered until one day, "Oh, when will it be bigger than me?" he asked as he dreamed of swings and secret spaces. In reply, his grandmother gave him another gift, patience. The boy had a birthday, and the tree reached his knees. The boy had a birthday, and the tree reached his shoulders. The boy's grandmother had a birthday, and he gave her many gifts like a poem, a picture, a crown, and most of all, his love. And she loved him back, and they were happy. Until one day, slowly, happiness spread its roots again. The boy's grandmother had taught him to ask for help when he needed it. And so, remembering he did, he watered and weeded while he watched and wondered. He grew tall with wondering, still dreaming of swings and secret spaces, but not for himself. Once there was a not so wide open field, and a girl who loved her father, who loved her back, and they were happy. The father gave the girl many gifts, like piggyback rides and plump strawberries and bedtime stories about his grandmother. He also gave the girl acorns, tiny shiny things with wild and woolly caps. But he had more to give, like all of his wisdom about how things grow. "When will it be bigger than me?" the girl asked, and he explained how love, even when given to the smallest of things, can spread up and out and grow bigger than she could ever imagine. Together, they watered and weeded, and in time they found shade, a home, and strong, thick branches that were perfect for, They watched and waited and wondered. The girl grew, and the trees grew. Their love grew and spread up and out, while the girl dreamed of secret spaces, but not for herself. Once there was a field dotted with trees, and a boy who loved his mother, who loved him back, and they were happy. The boy's mother gave him pancakes made from her great-grandmother's recipe, topped with strawberries from her father's patch, and hugs and laughter and piggyback rides and bedtime stories about their family and its love of green growing things. The boy's mother gave him acorns, and together they planted and watered and weeded and watched and wondered. From their secret space, which wasn't very secret, the boy and his mother shared their wisdom with anyone and everyone about how things grow, like trees and people and kindness. The boy always had more love to give, and he got love in return. Was it bigger than him? It was. It was bigger than he had ever imagined, and that is why he was happy. Once there was a forest. All right.
Thank you, Jill. And now, as our children and youth and anyone going with them goes downstairs, we will sing them out with As You Go.
In a moment, we will engage in a collective act of generosity known as our offering, when we take time to actively support Westside and its many ministries with our gifts by text, check, or cash. Each month, we choose a community organization to share 1/3 of our undesignated offering gifts. That is, those donations not designated as your pledge contributions. For the month of August, our community giving recipient is Project Cool. For children dealing with the daily chaos of homelessness, school can be an important source of stability. As part of the Seattle-King County Council of Homelessness, Project Cool has supported thousands of homeless students over 33 years. Every fall through Project Cool, volunteers make sure that hundreds of unhoused students start the school year off with the supplies they need. In addition to school supplies for students, the coalition also regularly provides training for staff working with youth to help them advocate for and support the educational rights of homeless students. You can give by text by sending a message with the $sign and the amount you want to give to the number on the screen. For folks here in the sanctuary who prefer to share your gifts by cash or check, the greeters will move among us shortly. If you'd like your gift to be recorded as coming from you, please use one of the envelopes in the pews. And now, please enjoy this gift of music, Sending Your Light by Melanie Demore, sung by Christina Darnell.
Thank you to all of you. Your gifts sustain our ministry and that of our partners in the wider community. And thank you to Christina for that song. During each of our services, we like to take a moment to take collective space for holding the joys and sorrows of this community. As a reminder, if you would like for a joy or sorrow to be shared from the pulpit or in our newsletter, there's a form to submit that in our newsletter. This morning, we have a few things to share. First, Carrie Lucinian shares the loss of her creative and iconoclastic uncle, Steve Wilson, a renowned nature photographer who has recently turned 93, We hold her in our hearts as she feels this loss, as well as that of two beloved animal companions, dog friends, Mandy and Pasha. Carrie, we are thinking of you. Also, we have sorrow submitted from Jenny Porter, who writes, "On July 31st, my brother-in-law Kurt unexpectedly passed away after collapsing at home from a sudden and massive brain hemorrhage. He died on August 1st and became an organ donor. Kurt was only 63 and leaves behind Jenny's sister, his wife, and 2 teenage sons. So, Jenny, we are so sorry for your loss and hope that your whole family feels wrapped in love." And we have some joys as well. Steve Burrows writes, "I am overjoyed to share that my eldest child, Nicholas, and his fiancée, Anastasia, have recently tied the knot. They had an intimate ceremony that Jill and Steve attended. The wedding couple were radiant as they recited their vows on the municipal court roof." And I saw a picture, it did look radiant. And we have another joy from Ginger Brewer, who tomorrow will be celebrating the 2nd birthday of Ari Thoman, her great-grandson. Ari lives in Weehawken, New Jersey, and so Ginger will be playing happy birthday for him on her Irish whistle. Just holding all of the sorrow, the celebration that is named and unnamed in this space. We just appreciate all that we carry with us. And now I would invite you to join us in a time of ritual. We like to embody our joys and sorrows once a month in a ritual with stones. During this time, you are invited to approach our altar table down the side aisles, and you can grab a stone from one of our baskets. Maybe you grabbed one when you came in this morning, and I ask you to hold it with intention, feel the joys and sorrows you are carrying this morning, and you'll be invited to place it in a bowl of water and feel what you're holding in your heart mingling with the joys and sorrows of this community. And then you'll be invited to return to your seats via the center aisle. For those of you joining remotely, you are invited to participate in embodied ritual as well. You may have a stone or another sacred object that you would like to place with intention on an altar or table in your home. I invite you to join us now. Thank you for joining in this time of ritual. Let us take one more moment of silence, prayerful quiet to hold in our hearts all the joys and sorrows, known and unknown, in our community. Let us lift each other up in love, as well as our neighbors in the wider human community. And let us continue this time of meditation in song.
I am happy to be talking about generosity this morning in a context other than the annual pledge drive. I've been reflecting on generosity of spirit this past week and how generosity and gratitude are intertwined. This Sunday's sermon is the third in a series inspired by Mary Oliver's poem, The Summer Day. The poem I'm about to read, The Gift, is also by Mary Oliver and beautifully illustrates such generosity and gratitude. The Gift. I wanted to thank the mockingbird for the vigor of his song. Every day he sang from the rim of the field while I picked blueberries or just idled in the sun. Every day he came fluttering by to show me, and why not, the white blossoms in his wings. So one day I went there with a machine and played some songs of Mahler. The mockingbird stopped singing. He came close and seemed to listen. Now when I go down to the field, a little Mahler spills through the sputters of his song. How happy I am, lounging in the light, listening as the music floats by. And I give thanks also for my mind that thought of giving a gift, and mostly I'm grateful that I take this world so seriously. So much in this poem. I love the idea of thanking a bird for its song with the gift of another melody. Why not? Why not thank the birds for their songs, their airborne ballets, their delicate beauty? What gift beside birdseed could we give them? Many of the best gifts are intangible or are things with little monetary value. The everyday object passed from one generation to another, the playlist assembled and shared, homemade sourdough bread, a book thoughtfully chosen. I am grateful for the reminder to take this world so seriously, to be generous and grateful, to be imaginative and responsive to the world I live in. Being in this world asks of us both serious work and joyful play. It asks us to both pay close attention and to let the mind wander in creative thought, to hold both generosity and gratitude close to our hearts.
No one here to guide you. Now you're on your own. Only me beside you. Still you're not alone. No one is alone. Truly, no one is alone. Sometimes people leave you halfway through the wood. Others may deceive you. You decide what's good. You decide alone, but no one is alone. People make mistakes. Fathers, mothers, people make mistakes. Holding to their own, thinking they're alone. Honor their mistakes. Everybody makes one another's terrible mistakes. Witches can be right, giants can be good. You decide what's right, you decide what's good. Just remember, someone is on your side, someone else is not. While you're seeing your side, maybe you forgot they are not alone. No one is alone. Hard to see the lights now. Just don't let it go. Things will come out right now. We can make it so. Someone is on your side. No one is alone.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's a real gift of being minister here that we get to enjoy such good music. And it is also a gift that you all are indulging me in this summer worship series, working through this Mary Oliver poem, A Summer's Day, and using it as a jumping off point to talk about different spiritual practices. In the poem, A Summer's Day, Mary Oliver has this chance encounter where she momentarily holds a grasshopper in her hand, this little being who has leapt out of the safety of the grass and is now eating the sugar she is giving it. And it begs the question, what kind of person goes wandering through the fields with a little bit of sugar in their pocket to give to hungry grasshoppers? Or for that matter, who goes out and plays classical music for the birds? Mary Oliver definitely is this kind of person, and she demonstrates this way of being that is so in flow with generosity. There's this gift-giving impulse in her that is creative, and it seems innate. I want to be like that. I try to be like that. And maybe you do too. Maybe not. Maybe it looks different for you. I think that Unitarian Universalists do have a decent repertoire when it comes to talking about and encouraging generosity, but as Jill mentioned in her reflection, it is so often relegated to the context of stewardship season. The ways that people show up and give their resources to support our communities is so generous, so visible, and so necessary for this faith community and all faith communities. It's easy to see and name, but I hope generosity for us is bigger than this. It's bigger than something we just do at church with this select group of people. And I'm pretty sure for most of you in this room, it is bigger than that. It's this through line in our lives. And I hope it is a spiritual practice and not one that we just put in a small corner of our life. Recently, Unitarian Universalists adopted formally a new statement of values that attempts to articulate a common understanding of what we diverse people cherish in common. These are the values that we center in our lives and that our theology calls us to embody. With love at the center of them all, the values are transformation, equity, justice, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity. And this is new. This is the first time UUs have declared out loud that generosity is one of our central values. It is the one that is most exciting to me of these values. It seems like a new stage for us. I am ready for an era of Unitarian Universalism where generosity is clearly and explicitly prioritized, and I bring a lot of curiosity about what that actually looks like. I'll talk about it later, but we don't have a super rich history of really talking about what we mean by generosity. Do we have a shared understanding of the role it plays in our spiritual lives? I think we need to articulate this. So today, in exploration of this question, I want to explore a few approaches to generosity that I've encountered in the world, in other wisdom traditions. It is amazing that we humans really find ways to teach one another about generosity. It is a spiritual practice in every tradition that I know of. It's a way of being that so many people value. So I hope you'll take this invitation to more deeply investigate your own relationship to generosity, and maybe you can take up the challenge with me to deepen your own generosity practice. First, we begin in the dominant Western culture that so many of us swim in, which has been so indelibly shaped by Christianity. Many of us are familiar with the wide spectrum of approaches to generosity and wealth in Christian tradition and Christian culture. It amazes me how the study of one holy text can lead to such different outcomes. At one end of the spectrum, we see massively resourced megachurches and missionary organizations that have this amazing ability to expend enormous resources on giving. And it's amazing, and we marvel at it, and sometimes it feels like there's a catch to it. It's so typical that the generosity of these communities is based on an assumption or a hope that they are spreading their message with their giving, that there's a return on investment in the form of souls saved. It comes from a place of real goodwill and love for others, so I don't want to criticize it. But for many people, this kind of giving can feel coercive and less generous. In the ugliest and most hypocritical instances, which are not the majority, churches are used as institutions to hide wealth. Celebrity evangelists preach something called prosperity gospel that asserts that material abundance is this good thing that shows that God favors us. I don't need to tell you how dangerous this level of arrogance is. And then at the other end of the spectrum, there are monastics and other individuals who take vows of poverty and take that very seriously. For these special few, we are able to marvel at their sacrifice, understanding that they are the most devoted among us to their spiritual path. And most Christians live in the vast middle between these two ends, understanding that they do not need to be minimalists to be good Christians, but that the abundance that they have should be shared to help those in need. Jesus made it very clear how he felt about wealth. Luke 12:15, one's life does not consist in the abundance of possessions. 1 John 3:17, if anyone has material possessions and sees a brother or sister in need but has no pity on them, how can the love of God be in that person? Mark 10:21, go, sell all that you have and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven, and come, follow me. And Luke 18:25, we all know it. It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich person to enter the kingdom of heaven. What is the lesson here? It's powerful. I think first we are urged to understand that true spiritual well-being cannot be attained through material abundance. Followers are meant to find ultimate security in their connection to God. Jesus warns us that the very human, very understandable impulse to scrounge together physical security in search of an easier life is a false and tragic strategy for getting to wholeness. And second, the lesson here that these quotes teach us, that the main aim of generosity is to help those who have less than us. I appreciate the message, but I also think that there are limits to this approach. At a large scale, the culture we live in really takes on this form of generosity that's exemplified in the philanthropy of the wealthy. Our culture idolizes and encourages a generosity that assumes and reinforces power structures that keep givers in positions of power over the recipients of their goodwill. I think this comes from this assumption that those who are in need of our generosity are poorer and in worse circumstances than us, rather than true siblings, true neighbors that we want to share relationships with. I appreciate the seriousness and the weight of generosity in the Christian scripture and practice, but I feel myself straining for a wider, a more inclusive definition. I don't think generosity should be this extra good deed we do just because we're inspired and happen to notice that we have more than we need. I think it is both something that is more large and also more humble. So, as if you know me, you know that I look to Buddhist perspectives. In Buddhism, there is this teaching that generosity is the first spiritual practice on the path to awakening. Dana, the word in the Buddhist scriptures for teaching, or for giving, dana means giving. Dana is known as the first of the 6 paramitas, and paramitas are these practices, these mindsets that sort of help us out on the path to awakening. So giving is the first spiritual practice. Basically, the Buddha teaches us that all in life is impermanent, and clinging to impermanence is the root cause of suffering. And so, a practice of relinquishing rather than grasping is something that will help us ease that suffering. So it is the first step. In Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh's understanding, generosity is a way to outwardly express interbeing with all of life. There are many ways to give to others, including giving away material things like money or food, but also sharing warmth, wisdom, caring attention, time, or labor with others. These forms of generosity are all important. Giving, in this view, as with Christianity, helps us to loosen our attachment to impermanent things. And it is a way that we acknowledge and embody the truth that we are not alone in this world. And in Buddhism, the receiving of generosity is also an important spiritual practice. Think of the image of a monk going out to the town of lay people to collect offerings of food for their daily meal. This is common in many cultures around the world. There is a lesson here in asking for what one needs without fear or shame. There's a practice of accepting what is given with a clear understanding that we are nourished literally by our interconnectedness with others. I remember a meditation retreat where I spent an hour or two each day removing pits from plums in the kitchen. The monastery grounds were blessed with plum trees that were giving buckets of ripe plums every day in this season. It was enough plums for all the humans at the monastery, birds, rabbits, and the worms in the compost. We all got to share in this abundance. They were such generous trees. We made those plums into jam to be stored for later and into compote for our oatmeal the next morning. Through my gift of labor, I knew that the gift of those plum trees could be well used. And when we ate them, I came to understand that my full belly and the energy I carried throughout the day were made possible because of those trees and their generosity. And also the generosity of the gardeners and the kitchen workers and the people in the office who paid the bills, who made sure the monastery could run. All of that generosity was there in those plums and was there in my body. So I was motivated to deepen my practice. I wanted to make full use of these gifts. My gratefulness inspired me to be generous. The plums offered me a window into the interconnectedness of all beings and the generosity alive in my own aliveness. Now, I am not deeply steeped or long enough steeped in Buddhist culture to really be able to name the limits of this viewpoint, but all perspectives, when taken too rigidly, do have limits. Possibly here, there is a risk in letting the lesson be too esoteric, less grounded in the physical plane. My ideal ethic of generosity lets the power of giving stay simple and clear. We nourish others, and others nourish us. Seeking such an ethic, I turn to indigenous perspectives on generosity. I am part of a book club back in Portland that in recent months has been working through this book titled Restoring the Kinship Worldview. Indigenous voices introduce 28 precepts for rebalancing life on planet Earth. The selections in this book draw connections between many indigenous cultures throughout the Americas, highlighting key differences between indigenous worldviews and dominant culture. One passage on generosity has really stayed with me. It is a piece from Lakota theologian, psychologist, and youth advocate, Martin Brokenleg. In it, he explains that true generosity requires sacrifice and courage. He writes, "In many tribal cultures, giving away possessions is part of an entire way of life, one that creates powerful social bonds. Young children learn that it is not always easy to give things away, but the Lakota say that one should practice and be able to give away anything without the heart pounding. We should not make a show of generosity, and recipients do not have to fawn in obeisance. Sharing is just what relatives do. The highest expression of courage is generosity, as seen when children learn to show compassion for others and to give a higher priority to relationships rather than possessions." This is really powerful, right? It stuck with me. The highest expression of courage is generosity. We must learn to give priority to relationships rather than possessions. Sharing is just what relatives do. I appreciate this generosity because it keeps love and connection at the center. We give to others not because it is a spiritual good, but because we care for them. Mutuality is how we keep relationship alive, and we see it modeled all around us. We are the recipients of so much generosity from non-human beings who feed and shelter us and give us medicine. Our non-human siblings teach us that generosity is natural and good and a crucial factor for ensuring balance and harmony in the world. So, as we begin to reach toward a Unitarian Universalist ethic of generosity, I wonder where we might find our grounding. And possibly it's somewhere amidst all the versions that I've talked about this morning, the ways that we learn to let go of our attachment to material things to find other forms of security and put relationship first. Recently, the Reverend Dr. Sherry Prudhomme published a theological analysis that attempts to get at some of these questions, inspired by the new values statement. In her reflection, she points out that we do not have a strong tradition of writing or preaching wise words about generosity. But still, our history is full of people who we call prophets, who lived as astounding examples of embodied generosity. So there is a richness in our tradition. She names abolitionists and educators and others who have put themselves at risk to support the liberation of others. And maybe one day I'll have a sermon just about these people and their courageous generosity. May we seek those stories and learn from them. In her piece, Dr. Prudhomme offers one entry point to a UU theology of generosity. She writes that we hold a framework which understands that this world is the locus of the holy, that struggle and salvation are present here and now, and that all life is interconnected. From that basis, the holiness here and now, we know that generosity, gratitude, and hope are ways that we honor these truths and the blessings of our lives. They are ways we experience our interconnectedness, and we understand, in her words, that we are blessed by gifts beyond our own making. These words for me feel true and inspiring. I'm glad they are now part of the Unitarian Universalist canon. I want us all to feel called to lean into the challenge and risk of generosity. We live in a fiercely individualistic, independent society. In this world, it is so difficult. It is not easy. It is so difficult to give up what security we have, to rely on something bigger than ourselves. It takes courage to release the things we cling to give up on that which we feel ownership of. We've got to trust that our interconnectedness will always be the more valuable thing to have. Please take this invitation to explore generosity in your spiritual journey. Are you already giving time or money to organizations and efforts that do good work in the world? Maybe you might find added depth by articulating for yourself that this is a spiritual practice and try to reframe it. You're already doing it, but maybe you don't realize it's part of your spiritual life. And are there ways that you find yourself holding on to possessions or other forms of wealth out of a sense of security? I notice myself do this from time to time. Are you limited by the belief that you are the only one looking out for you? It is so common. Maybe you can find ways to look inward, investigate this further, deconstruct these unhelpful notions. Maybe you can find ways to lean more into interdependence and into courage. Let us take the time to untangle all of the ungenerous, lonely, scared parts of ourselves, because the ungenerous parts of ourselves are lonely and scared. Let us find gentle and nourishing ways to give of our abundance and to humbly receive the generosity that is offered to us. Generosity does not need to be grand or showy, but it does need us to show up. I find it thrilling that we get to infuse this vocabulary into the Unitarian Universalist faith, and I look forward to all the ways we can go deeper together. Maybe some of us will become like the poet who carries grasshoppers, sugar for grasshoppers, and classical music for the birds. As Mary Oliver would put it, may we give thanks for our minds which think of giving a gift, and may we be grateful that we take this world so seriously. Thank you.
I invite you to rise as you're willing and able. Join in number 131 in the Gray Hymnal, words up there. Love Will Guide Us by the great singer-songwriter Sally Rogers.
Oh, what a great service. Thank you all to all who have made this morning's service possible. Lisa Reitzitz filling in for Scott, our soloist, Christina Darnell, our musicians, John Hanson, Ronnie Bishop, Marion Key, of course, Reverend Carter, Jack for lighting our chalice, Nate and Henry up in the booth, our ushers, our hospitality people, our greeters, and everyone else who makes this such a beloved community. As always, it is a pleasure and blessing to do this sacred work together. Members and friends, do make sure to look at your West Side Week, which you will have received on Friday, just to keep current with all our many activities. A reminder that our annual in-gathering service will be September 8th, to which you are invited to bring a small sample of water collected over the summer to our water communion, which is a beloved UU tradition. And we have lots of sources of water around here, so pretty easy. Look for more information to follow in the West Side Week as we get closer to September. Our next Sunday service will be on August 25th, where worship associates Lisa Reitzitz, Liz Bucklew, and Rick Taylor will reflect on the last lines of Mary Oliver's poem, The Summer Day. Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?
I invite you to please rise one more time as you wish, in body or spirit, for our closing words. These words are adapted from J. Wolin. Are we a people of holding on or letting go? Holding on to rigid ideas or letting go and opening our minds and our hearts to something new? Holding on to certainty of how things should be or letting go and living with the uncertainty of new ways of being in the world, holding on to that which makes us comfortable, or letting go so we may grow, which can be uncomfortable. Holding on to that which makes us safe, or letting go to make room to help others feel safe. As we go from here, let us think of our chalice as a symbol of burning up the ties that hold us, the ties that hold us back from being our true self and reaching our true potential. As we release this flame, let its light carry on a new way for us into a better tomorrow. Let it be a symbol of letting go, because holding on too long and too tightly is never good for the soul. And I will invite Jack forward to release our flame. And as he does so, may you go into this week blessed and blessing the world. We hold you in our love as you go.
And let's close our time together with our five-fold Amen.